Okay, it says we're live, but I swear every single time I do this, it cuts the first like 30 seconds off.
Okay.
So I don't want to say anything important. Oh, there are people here. There are people here. We got Zed Rebel
Mm-hmm.
Barbell and Evanescence 2 watching. So thanks for coming aboard. Are you able to see the chat, Zach?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, great. So, this is another episode of Napalm Live. Wow, we've already got 11 people, so that's like a PR right
All
there.
right.
11 people. What we are doing is we are covering the 2024 Napalm Nightmare World Championship results. And I asked Zach from the Grip Show to come aboard with me. So, Zach, thank you very much for doing this. It was already beneficial getting you involved because you caught one of my copy and paste errors. So, thank you very much for your attention to detail.
Oh yeah, like I said, I had to run through and just kind of do my own note taking before we went live. But it's yeah, everything looked pretty good other than like one thing I saw. So.
Yeah, great. So, a little bit of history. So, the Napalm Nightmare I came up with in 2009, I believe. 2008, 2009. That's when I came up with the concept. Basically, Andrew Derniat popped onto the scene, was an instant thick bar monster, and he was beating me at every competition I went to. And I was like, how can I catch up with this guy? And long story short, I came up with a handle that would be a two-handed rolling handle that I could do swings with because he came from kettlebell sport. He was always subjected to that heavy downward overspeed eccentric with the kettlebell, and I was not willing to do kettlebell work in order to develop grip strength. So I started doing swings with the Napalm Nightmare. Never had any intentions of having this be a grip sport lift or contested event, but it was actually the community that made it a contested event. So we started out with 2 3/8 handles, the round rolling handles, and then eventually Luke started making pinch handles as well, and it's become the most complete grip training apparatus for multiple types of disciplines for grip sport competition. In I I I think back in like 2019, I wanted to run a Napalm Nightmare World Championship. Never got around to it until 2022. So this is actually the third annual Napalm Nightmare World Championship. And I would love to be able to tell you who won the past years. No idea who it was. Do you know, Zach?
Man, off the top of my head, I think last year maybe Alexei Tukalov. I'm not 100% on that, but and then for 2022, I'm definitely not sure.
I almost want to say Joe Hodgson won in 2022.
It's possible.
But
Yeah. I don't know.
it doesn't matter because we're not here to talk about 2022. We're here to talk about 2024. So I went through, we had 14 locations,
Mm-hmm.
which is very cool. We had how many competitors?
I want to say about 58, Jed.
Yeah, I think 58. Yep. 58 competitors. We had what, 13 women?
I believe that's accurate. Yeah, I'm going off notes real quick.
Yeah. Looks like 13, and then the rest were men. So great turnout. I'm totally happy with it. Not sure how it compares to the other the other years, but that's okay. It's all about this year.
Mm-hmm.
We ran I contested all of the weight classes. So if someone showed up and they were in one of the GSI weight classes, then they're going to get recognized for that weight class. And of course, all of the events are tracked in the GSI database. So all of the results will be entered in the database. Randy, I appreciate you letting me know I'm echoing, but I have no idea what to do about it. Zach Zach told
I
me
think it's
his
me.
Zach told me his audio is like blowing out his ears and he can barely hear me. So I'm just projecting my voice so that he can hear me. But I do apologize for any kind of audio miscues. Um, what's the best way to go about a rundown on this, Zach? You're the one that's covered all the grip competitions on yours.
Man, if the echo is on my end, I don't want to talk too much and have that be an issue. Um, but I usually would break down, probably the women's first since there's less competitors there, and kind of get that covered, and then work my way up to the men's overall.
Okay, great. So we'll start with the lighter weight classes of the women, and we had a 52 kilo women competitor. We had two 63 kilo women's competitors, four 72 women's competitors, an 84 kilo women's competitor, three 100 kilo
Mhm.
women's competitors, and two 100 plus kilo women's competitors. So it was a decent mix, pretty consistent. And then some of those classes they're just not really well represented. There's not a lot of people in those classes. So, sometimes you have that. Um, but it's funny, a lot of the names at the top of these divisions you see quite often in other grip contests. So not a lot of surprises.
Yeah, Jed, it looks like the echo is on my end, is what they're saying.
Okay. I mean, when you talk, I can hear like a little bit, but I
Okay.
don't know. um,
Yeah, did you want me to run down just the women's weight class winners?
yeah, sure.
Okay, so for the nope, I don't mess these names up. 52 kg Rachel Hart Dickinson. Um, for 63 Corinne Lalonde. 72 kg Tammy McClure. 84 Elaine Wilson. 100 Heather McDowell. And for 100 plus Amy Waddles.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Heather McDowell?
Yeah, doing recaps. I've come across her name pretty often.
Yeah. She's very, very strong. I haven't paid as much attention to the way some of these competitions have settled out. So when I saw her and I saw her numbers, I was like, "Ooh, she's in contention for the overall." So she put up
Mhm.
some really good numbers. So yeah, coming out at the top spot in the 100 kilo class is no surprise based on how she was doing in the overall, because I did the overall first. So very, very interesting. I don't do a lot of these analyses, so when I do this each year, it's kind of like I'm sitting here in suspense, like not just, oh, how did I do, but rather like you start seeing the numbers come out, event, and then you're like, wow, I'm seeing the same names, and oh, they're right up there with other names, and it's pretty cool. If we round out all of the weight classes, um, in the 63 kilo, Corinne Lalonde was in first and Sarah Pitt in second. Tammy McClure came out on top for the 72 kilo, followed by Daisy Grodsky, Kimberly Vaughn, and Yanne Grondelin. 84 kilo was Elaine Wilson, uncontested. Heather McDowell took the 100 kilo with Rachel McWilliams and Beck Brasted behind her, and then Amy Waddles in the 100 plus kilo, along with Daphne Hudson in second place. The men's the men's weight classes were we had one person in 59 kilos, five people in 66 kilos, three in the 74 kilos, six in the 83 kilos. And then this was like a 93 kilo and up, very heavy contest. Like probably half the competitors were in the last those top four categories. So 8 in the 93 kilo, 8 or 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the 105 kilo, 7 in the 120, and 7 in the 120 plus. So there were a lot of big dudes competing. I did not go through and do a breakdown of the masters. I did see that we had like maybe 5 masters, so I need to still go back and do that. I had to get something to eat. I've been up since like 5:30, and I hadn't eaten yet. And although I'm used to intermittent fasting, I was like starving to death. So I made some fish and bacon. You ever have fish and bacon, Zach?
I'm sure at some point.
Yeah. Well, you should do it. You should do it more often because it was really good. It hit the spot. And along with finishing off my 12 cups of coffee in the pot today, I'm rolling pretty high right now. So, let's get into it with the breakdown per weight class for the men. Why don't you start off with the first couple weight classes, Zach?
Okay, yeah, we had I believe Tucker Moore took the 59 kg. Kim Walls at 66 kg. Isaac Pitt, 74 kg winner. And this is where that one error was on the spreadsheet.
Yep.
But Mark Chiarelli taking the 83.
I corrected it on mine, so
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then Stefano Fortunio was right behind him.
So who was in first place, Zach? I walked all over you, buddy.
Mark Chiarelli. And then this is one that I wanted to point out at 93 was Daniel Moy Helgenson and Dylan Hallmat taking second behind him. But their scores were 39.55 to 39.51.
Yeah, dude. Like, how close is that?
Razor close. Yeah.
Super close. I'm really glad you brought that up. They each won 2 events. So the way that the way that many grip sport competitions go is with percentage-based scoring. So whoever finishes in top place automatically gets 10 points. And then second place, you would take the weight that they lifted divided by the weight that the first place competitor lifted, and you get a percentage score. And then you just make that an integer. So I went with a base of 10 points. So you multiply those percentages by 10, and they get 9.2, 9.6, whatever. So if you win all 4 events, you get 40. If you don't, then you're going to end up with 39 point something, right? So Daniel Moy Helgeson ended up with 39.55 points in first place, and then Dylan Hallmat had 39.51. So only about 0.04 points separated those 2 lifters. So that's one of those things where you have to wonder what would happen if these 2 competitors were in the same gym competing on the same implement with the same drive, adrenaline, environment, moisture, all that stuff, because things can change a little bit when you're going head to head. Now, let me ask you this, Zach. You competed with Dylan in Virginia. So was he successful on his last attempts at all times? Did he have some costly misses? Like, what can you say about his performance that may have been a difference maker, knowing going in we don't know what happened with Daniel either?
Yeah, very true. I would say for Dylan, he really was on fire. He picked really good attempts. can't remember him really missing anything. And I think everything he did was a big PR.
Wow. Awesome. You know who that sounds like? That sounds like me. No, I'm just kidding. That sounds like Chaz. Chaz went 15 out of 16 yesterday in his attempts. And I think he said that every single top effort was like a big PR for him. So that was a successful competition for Chaz, no doubt about it. All right, let's go on. Hit me with the 105s, brother.
Ben Helms. Took that one.
He did all right.
Jed, yourself at 120.
Yes.
And then for 120 plus, Derek Hudson.
He's a big man. He put up some big numbers. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do a rundown. Since my audio is better, I'm going to go over first through X in each category. So, 59 kilo class was Tucker Moore. He ran uncontested. 66 kilos, Kim Walls, first place. Andrew Nguyen, second place. Sergio Aguayo, third place. Don Van Dinkerken, fifth place. And Cody Wallbank in sixth place. The 74 kilo group, Isaac Pitt took all 4 lifts and got 40 points. Second place was Patrick Landralt, and third place was Peter Evans in the 74 kilo division. 83 kilos, it was Mark Chiarelli in first place, Stefano Fortunio in second place, Josh Culpepper in third place, Casey Moore in fourth place, Teddy Breskison in fifth place, and Chad McFarland, sixth place. 93 kilos. Daniel Moy Helgeson in first place. Dylan Helmet, second place. Dan Guchis in third place. Chris Bull in fourth place. Chuck McFarland in fifth place. Tom Enlow in sixth place. Peter Millhouse in seventh. And Kaye Ngui in eighth place. Or seventh place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Eighth place. I don't have the numbers on there. 105 kilo. Ben Helms took all 4 lifts with a solid 40-point performance out of 4 events. First place. Thomas Larson, only behind by 0.41 points in the 105 kilo class for second place. No, I'm sorry, that was 35.59, so it was more than 0.41. My bad. So let's start that one over. 105 kilos was Ben Helms in first place. Second, Thomas Larson. Third, Andy Muncie. Fourth, Rob McMurrin. Fifth, Dustin McFarland. Sixth, Torrey Henriksen. Seventh, Andrew Kiro, which I'll come back to him. And then eighth place, Tyler Ross. Andrew Kiro competed with me, and I convinced him to come up. We tried to get Timmy Butler to come with him, but Tim couldn't make it. He has some kind of a detached retina or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think the word on the street is that his pet iguana jumped up on his face, started scratching him or something. But I also heard that his the shade on his window came off and caught him. I'm not sure what exactly happened there.
It'll be a mystery.
Yeah. He probably just lifted such a heavy blob and created so much intraocular pressure that it snapped one of his retinas off. But anyway, Andrew came up alone. He worked all night, drove up that morning. He's never touched a Napalm's Nightmare of any sort, and all these were his first time attempting anything on this implement. And I think we got pretty much every bit of strength out of him on the implements that we could. We only had so Luke competed on Friday. He had something more important to do on Saturday. He was too good for the contest, so he had to go do his arm wrestling. And so it was me, Chaz, Evan, Andrew. Is it just four? I think the fifth one is Luke. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was four of us. So we were able to take a good amount of time and really help him with technique and choose his attempts wisely. We had really small plates so we could go up incrementally, and it all worked out really, really well. So I'm happy that things went so well for Andrew. Any questions up to this point, Zach?
I was going to bring up something. I think I just caught an error.
Okay.
As we're doing this because I think Luke would have been behind Ben at 105, and I think Luke was put into the 120 class. But I think he weighed in like 218. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I'll go back and switch that. I'll go back and switch that. Yep. Yeah, I don't know how I messed that up. Well, wait, no, he was. Oh yeah. 231 is the cutoff. Yeah. Yep. So that's why I run this by people. So, yeah, I'll figure that out. The results will be correct that I send in to Eric. All right, good job. And then if we look at the 120 plus, Derek Hudson in first place, Dave Beal in second place, Evan Norton third place, Derek Bryan fourth place, Bruno Gonzalez fifth place, Chris Menzel sixth place, and Adam Dixon seventh place. Evan continues to like break all his PRs in grip contests and does like 4 grip workouts a year. So the key to all this, guys, is don't train at all.
I'm not going to lie, Jed. That's kind of been working for me lately. Just because it's. I went into King Kong and Napalm Nightmare. I haven't had time to train the same way I normally would.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going into these competitions way more recovered than I ever have been.
Right.
And I think in the past I left some of my better lifts in the gym by training too close to the event.
Hey, that's entirely possible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's something to be said for finding your optimal recovery ability.
Yeah.
So Luke, he's extremely busy as a business owner and father. Plus, he gets hurt like all the time. He's constantly injured. He's like weak and feeble.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't come down as much, and because of that, I don't think he has the opportunity to burn the candle at both ends, if you will, and he's able to maintain like a level of performance that's a little bit higher because he doesn't ever have to deal with that any overtraining or overstimulus, and there's definitely something to be said about it. So especially as we get older, we probably got to monitor the amount of volume that we're doing to maximize our potential to be able to perform. I'm going to run through what Luke's scores would be in his proper weight class.
Okay.
So if you want to do any commentary, feel free.
Did you want me to bring up some of the top lifts?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and cover some of that, and that will spell me for a minute while I go through these calculations.
All right. Hopefully these are accurate. But as we break it down, on the 2-inch rolling handles.
The weights are accurate. It's just the tabulations.
Well, I'm saying how I took notes could be wrong. It should be all right. For the 2-inch rolling handles, Amy Waddles lifted 321 pounds. For the 2x5 pinch blocks, Amy lifted 190 pounds. And these next two, Amy did not have the top lift. For the 2 3/8 rolling handles, Heather McDowell lifted 264 pounds. And on the 3x4 pinch blocks, Tammy McClure did 160 pounds. If we go into the men's top lifts, 2-inch rolling handles, Ben Helms did 540 pounds. Luke Raymond with 322 pounds on the 2x5 pinch blocks. Then Ben closes it out with 2 3/8 rolling handles, 460 pounds, and 3x4 pinch blocks, 310 pounds. And there's some decimals there, but I'm rounding to the nearest pound.
Yeah. I'm almost done recapping.
Oh, you're good, Jed.
You're good, Jed.
And then aside from the weight classes, we could also kind of cover the men or women's overall if you wanted kind of how everybody stacked up. Because Luke's number should be good for that.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead and run with that, Zach. I'll be with you in just a second.
Oh, no, you're good, man. Yeah. Did you want me to run down the men's overall or anything, or just kind of wait?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So if I were to break down the
I've got
10.
I've got the total for the men's 105. Luke did indeed finish in second place in the 105. So Ben ended up totaling 39.62 points because Luke actually beat him on the
2-inch pinch.
2-inch, 2x5. So Luke takes the 10 points in that one. So Ben had 39.62 points. Luke had 35.47 points. And then that puts Thomas Larson in third place at 35.24 points. So less than 0.2 points between Thomas and Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for pointing that out. So let's go over the overall, Zach. Where would you like to begin? You want to start at the end or work your way up or what?
I was going to say we could probably just maybe knock out the top 10.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go 10th place up.
Okay. That'd be Chaz Strange at 10th place.
10th place. Chaz has become a seasoned veteran. We talked about it in the Napalm live episode that I recorded after the contest yesterday. 15 out of 16 lifts, good lifts. Every single event he PR'd on. And I don't remember what the last lift was. It was the very last lift on the 3x4 that he missed. That's a good one.
If we go up, 9th place, Eric Smellin. Hopefully I'm saying that right.
And I don't know him, so I'm not sure. Some of these guys I don't know. Most of the top 10 I do know. I've either met them or interacted with them. So it's cool to see names that we're not familiar with, right?
Oh, no, for sure. 8th place, Dave Beal.
Now I know that name. Have you ever met him, Zach?
I haven't met him, but I've seen the name.
Cool.
Myself in 7th. And I checked the numbers.
You had a pretty damn good day.
Yeah. I had a little bit more in the tank on the pinch stuff. But with 4 attempts, I still had PRs and did okay.
Good, yeah.
Derek Hudson was in 6th place right above me, and we were razor close.
Yeah.
It was a very close battle there.
Yeah, about 15 pounds difference on the 2-inch rolling.
Mm-hmm.
0.3 pounds difference on the 2x5. You beat him by a little over 2 pounds in the 2 3/8.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got you by about 2 pounds in the 3x4.
Yep.
So yeah, seeing that, I'm sure you'll sleep really well tonight, brother. Sometimes the worst thing you can do is look at these damn results, man.
I like them. I don't care. You know. It gets more interesting if it's closer. If everything was just a blowout, it gets a little boring.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, top five. It's who's who of the sport. Andy Muncie in fifth place. Fourth place, Thomas Larson. Third, Luke Raymond. Jed, you in second place. And then Ben Helms being the overall champion.
Yeah, and he took it pretty handily.
Yeah.
If we want to use a pun right there. So he totaled 39.62 points. I had 36.68, so it's about 3 points. That's a pretty good lead.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good lead. Now, if there was a medley that we could have done all together, probably wouldn't have been able to overtake that lead.
Yeah, my thing for Ben was is Jason Dingy competing?
Right.
Or is Alexei Tukolov competing?
Yep.
Because I think those two guys would have been the two best to give him a run for his money with these numbers.
Well, all the thick bar numbers would have been different if there was a California contest. Because we would have had Ode, we would have had AJ, possibly Alex. They were like the top 3 last year in the thick bar events. Eric Rusain ran a competition but did not compete. So he would have been right there in the thick bar. Jason wasn't in a competition. So that's a major factor for the top 3, no matter what. He's always in the running for first place.
Yeah.
So yeah, this list could look totally different with a few key individuals.
I still think, all things considered. Yeah, I mentioned those two guys as being big threats, but the numbers that Ben put up, pretty well rounded and tough for anybody to hang on these events.
Well, without knowing what he did in the competition itself, I did know the numbers he was putting up in training.
Mm-hmm.
So you can ask the guys at my place. I was playing for, at best, second place. So I knew I was coming nowhere near what he had been putting up for like multiple sets of 1 and 2 in training. So I tried to come in late. So I think in all the events I was following myself each time, and I tried to come in as late as possible to judge how my hands were feeling. And my what's crazy is normally the 3x4 kills my left hand. Like pinch block, I don't think I took any really good official lifts at King Kong on the pinch block, which is 3 inches wide. Yesterday, 0 pain on the 3x4, but the 2x5 was killing me. And my best lift on that is 330 pounds. I only managed 313 yesterday. So it was definitely an off day because of the hand injury. And then also the 2-inch rolling right off the bat was killing me. I'm like, this contest is going to totally blow. But all of a sudden, the bigger stuff didn't do anything to me. So I don't know what the deal was. Yeah. But yeah, man.
You think you would have lifted any differently if Luke was in person with you?
Well, it would have changed a lot because we were so close.
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, he beat me. What did he beat me on?
I think 2-inch pinch.
Yeah, the 2-inch. So I don't know. That might have driven me a little harder, but I don't know I don't know what else I could have done. Like I can't blame it on environment. I can't blame it on the the handle. The handles felt great. It's just like my left hand was killing me. I don't know.
Mm.
But it's always better with Luke there because if I screw some technique thing up, he lets me know. Whereas, because he's used to seeing me lift for years, so if I don't have my lats turned on, he's able to see it. Like that's one of the things we picked out maybe 2-3 weeks ago was that I was just kind of squeezing shit. I wasn't like activating my lats right, and after activating, the numbers went up quite a bit. But I was activating pretty good yesterday because when I went to bed last night, my lats were cramping up on me. So that's always a good sign.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Jed. I was just reading some of the comments here.
Yeah, we've got some good comments here. Dellen had much more in the tank on 3 out of the 4 lifts, Ben says.
I'd say that's accurate.
You earned any compliment that I gave you. Yeah, get well soon, Tim. And Indian Creek Winery, which is Tammy.
Mm-hmm.
Amy on the 2x5, 190 pounds. Yeah, that's fantastic. Fantastic.
It's been good to see Amy staying consistent. After, I guess, like a grip hiatus.
Yeah.
She's been back the last year or so, competing a lot.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I want to throw out there, I appreciate everybody watching. I saw at one point we had 20 people on. That's probably the most I've ever seen on one of these episodes. Thank you to everybody that shared the announcement that we would be going live. And thank you to all of the promoters who ran venues this year, because without you guys and gals, we're not talking about probably half the people that are in the competition. So it's you guys that have the experience in the sport and the confidence to run an event that make this possible. So I really appreciate everybody that took part in running a venue.
Okay. Hey, Jed, I was going to mention too.
Yeah.
That this was kind of late notice that we did this. And I know there's like an echo thing going on. I think in the future, I'm not sure, I'm not a tech expert. But I think if I threw some headphones in, or if we used headphones, the sound wouldn't come through the phone and create that echo. So in the future, if we do something like this, I'll try to fix it up because normally I'm on my laptop and I'm running this from my phone.
Yeah.
So that's what's creating the issue.
And Randy Gentry says that YouTube gave no notice about my live stream, and he has all notifications on, probably for both of us. So thanks a lot, YouTube. Failed grip sport once again.
Jed, you're getting shadow banned because you didn't participate hard enough in flattening the curve.
Let it be.
I think it's almost there. It's almost flat now.
It's coming.
We approach 2025.
We'll get there. Did you do the women's overall while I was doing the data?
I didn't because in the tabs I wasn't sure if it was separated for an overall.
No, if you slide your page over to the right, the women are on the right in that same tab.
Okay, I just saw them divided by weight class, and I wrote it in the notebook. So I don't have a screen with me.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Yep. So we'll go top 10. So in 10th place for the women's overall, Daphne Hudson. 9th place, Elaine Wilson. 8th place, Yane Grondelin. What am I on? 7th?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
7th, Kimberly Vaughn. 6th, Daisy Grodsky. 7th, Rachel McWilliams. Or 5th, Rachel McWilliams. 4th, Corinne Lalonde. 3rd, Tammy McClure. 2nd, Heather McDowell, which means first place, Zach.
Amy Wobbles.
Yep. She did it. So in the overall, she topped out with 10 points on the 2-inch Napalm Nightmare. She got 10 points in the 2x5. She got 9.1 points in the 2 3/8, and she got 9.5 points in the 3x4.
Tammy asked, will the results be posted?
Yes, the results will be posted. I wanted to make sure we got someone to proofread the results, and I button hooked Zach into doing that for me by inviting him on this live.
And then people want to know where the results will be posted.
Okay, the results, the overall results will be posted on the grip board in the grip contests, or I think it's competitions now, grip competitions section. And I will also be posting them in some shape or form on my Facebook page. So what it may be is just a link to the grip board. You do not have to have a membership at the grip board in order to view the results, as long as you get to the grip board, as far as I know. So everybody should be in fine feather to be able to view the overall results. And I will get the results to Eric Rusain. He does all of the data entry for the top 100. And I'm sure he usually gets it done within a week. I know he does a lot of that stuff on Wednesdays, but if he's busy, no rush. There could be other competitions that have taken place that he's tied up with. But in a very timely manner, Eric always gets the results added to the database, and all of these will be added. So if any world records were set or weight class records, they will be registered very soon.
Okay, and hey, Jed, if you want, I know you said grip board, Facebook. I can kind of throw some stuff together and put them up on the grip show if you want. On the Instagram.
Yeah,
I'll post them up in a story or something so people can see them and share them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And if you're looking for another episode to do and you want to reach out to some of these fine competitors and give them some limelight, then feel free. If you'd like me to be involved, I'm totally open to that, but you don't have to have me involved. I've been on there a few times. So if there's someone else that you'd like to highlight, I invite you to do that. There's no rules when you're dealing with Mother Nature.
All right, gotcha.
I like to work that quote in from, I believe, the first Survivor Series whenever I possibly can.
I don't know anything about it.
Do you know, were any of these lifts overall world records, Zach? Going by just your vast knowledge and photographic memory of the top 100 database at gripsportint.com?
If I wasn't running this through my phone, I would look it up.
Yeah.
I know Ben's 3x4 pinch was an all-time record at 310. And I think maybe some of his.
I'm sorry. The 3x4 world record. Who held that previously?
I think it was Jalen Worley. And it was like 306 or 307 pounds.
Okay.
Around there.
Well, that's a fantastic lift. It really is.
Well, it's wild because Ben's 2-inch and 3-inch pinch were the same. He pulled 310 for both.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
You know who else just about did that is Thomas Larson. He had 287 on the 3x4 and 286.
Those guys are both great at wide bench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if there were others like that. Evans said he stays. Yeah, Evans real close too. He got 248 on the 3x4 and then 247 on the 2x5.
Mhm.
So there's some freaks out there that it doesn't matter. I guess we got to get like a 4x8 Napalm pinch. So
Yeah, people have already been crying about hand size for years. We don't need that.
yeah. We could go the other way. We could no, you can't go 1x6 because it won't be big enough for the center roller to fit. So
Okay. Tammy's saying that Amy's 2-inch rolling handles was a. Or I assume it's the rolling handles, not the pinch. Maybe the pinch and rolling handles. But one of Amy's 2-inch lifts was a record.
very possible.
Not sure if that's the 321 on the rollers or the 190 on the 2x5.
Maybe Tammy will let us know. What I was doing during the event was monitoring what I had done on the list before. So I think on one of the two lists, my top lift was from last year or maybe the year before or maybe even a different contest. And I was trying to base my attempts on that information. And then I think in one case there was someone that was slightly ahead of me and I was able to go ahead of them on the top 100 list because I was monitoring that. So it is kind of handy if you can have that up on a laptop or a phone or some other device when you're competing, because if I didn't have that there, I probably would have downgraded my attempts a little bit or changed my strategy for my ramp up. So, and normally I don't do that. So it was good that we had so many people that were able to help me out with monitoring the weights and stuff like that, because it actually helped me in my strategy to go through that data.
Yeah, and Tammy clarified saying it was the 2x5 pinch.
Awesome.
And I think that was something Ben did as well, where he had the list up, checking the numbers, and if he couldn't set an overall record, he would at least try to set the weight class record. So that was kind of a tactic he was kind of looking at too.
Yeah. Just so everybody knows, if you go to gripsport.org, you can reach the top 100 that way. You can, and up until about a month or two ago, you could not access that through the gripsportint.com website, but Clint got that fixed for us so that it does display in an inner window. So now you can access those through either one of those websites, once you click on the proper link.
Moving forward, Jed, do you see any kind of change to the Napalm Nightmare World Championships, or do you feel it's just going to be a yearly event that kind of runs the same?
Well, that's a good question. I think if the events were to stay the same, I think the order would stay the same, simply because I've got that set up so that the heaviest stuff is done first, lighter stuff is done later. So if there is an injury that takes place early, then the less, the lighter stuff comes later, and then hopefully that back injury wouldn't affect the lifters. So that's how I've got it set up now. There is opportunity to add more events. So, for instance, Luke makes a globe handle roller. So the center of the gripping surface is a globe. And I honestly I probably knew that but forgot. And there is an option to add that in. And, if we put our heads together, there may be options for even more grips to be used. That's just something I'm saying right now. It hasn't been discussed. I would have to run it by him. And that would also put the burden on the promoters to get the implements, which, if they were committed, we could probably send them to them, and then we would have to figure something out about shipping. All of this is entirely coming out of my mouth right now without thinking about it. So by no means is it a promise or is it anything that's going to change. I will say that I have skull trophies that were left over from the 2022 Nationals, and I will be sending those to the overall winners for the men and women once I get the nameplates printed.
Mm-hmm.
And then Luke said that he wanted to send out some prizes to people as well from Arm Assassin Strength Shop, but I didn't write down and he didn't send it to me what he had available. So those will be coming out as well, and that was not announced beforehand. So that's kind of a cool surprise for people who are finishing high in the competition. We talked about it early on, and then we didn't talk about it again. So I wasn't able to promote that as a prize package that was included. So I don't know. What do you think? Is there anything that we should change about the Napalm Nightmare World Championship in your opinion, Zach?
Nothing off the top of my head. Talking about bringing in other handles and stuff like that. As long as you're not trying to make eggplant handles and do something like that, I don't really have too many complaints.
I can promise you that the Napalm Nightmare World Championships will never, ever include eggplant handles.
But yeah, no, Jed, being serious. It might take time to maybe think of something or revise it, but I think the last few years have been good. And I think this year, I think everything was fine. And I think the format is what it is and works well.
So I would invite, if anybody's watching right now, if they have a suggestion for the competition, to go ahead and put it in the comments and we can address it. One other thing that I wanted to mention that kind of sets this apart from King Kong is that King Kong's scoring system is reverse strongman scoring. So, someone who's interested could go through and modify these results to reverse strongman. It would be interesting to see how everything would change. But I personally like the percentage-based scoring. Believe me, it's a lot more work. It is a lot more work. But I like the percentage-based scoring because it assigns points based on your performance against the leader. Whereas, and Ben gets rewarded for totally blowing everybody away with that 540. With the 540 on the 2-inch Napalm Nightmare, he gets 10 points, and then me in second place with 454, I only get 8.4 points. So that really rewards somebody who pushes themselves on the day to lift as much weight as possible on each event. Whereas if Ben figures, 500 is good enough, and it's strongman scoring, and I get my 454, he gets 1 point and I get 2.
Yeah.
Right? So this way he kind of gets more points for his performance. Now, at the same time, I've got 59 competitors. King Kong this year had over 300. So, unless you have the formulas already embedded, somebody's already gone through there and made it easy for you. I didn't do that this year. I did everything today, this morning. And it actually took me about 3 hours less time today than it did in past years. Anyway, regarding the scoring system, I like the percentage-based scoring system because it allows a leader to get a lead. It allows someone to make up ground a little bit better, and it's accurate at showing how much someone won, or rather outperformed or underperformed someone else. So, and it's also the percentage based scoring was done in the first ever grip contest that I ever did when I first got on the grip board, when it was a virtual contest called the Grip Bash. So historically, it's kind of special to me as well.
Yeah, I think it's awesome, Jed. And another thing I would point out is King Kong being all single hand lifts. Napalm Nightmare clearly all two-handed lifts. So King Kong format that favors some people that maybe have one strong hand, or opposite hands are stronger at certain things. They can alternate, whereas Napalm Nightmare, you're both hands, and if you have a weakness, it might, become apparent.
That's a good point. And I know in my case with my left hand issues, when with the last man standing, I was taking like my lightest pulls with my left hand, and then finish with my right.
Mhm.
So that's a good point. You can kind of side with your stronger hand in a one hand lift contest. I suppose that is an option for us to do the one hand nightmare at some point in the Napalm Nightmare Championship. The only problem with that would be historically it's always been two hands.
Yeah.
So there's room there for more events, but and Ben brought up a good one. I forgot about the ingot pin
Mm-hmm.
that Luke also makes. That would be another option for a grip for an implement.
Yeah, I would say me personally, Jed, I would stick with two-hand format for the most part. But
Yeah.
I
Well,
just keep it consistent.
I want to bring back the February contest, the Worldwide Grip Battle.
Mhm.
It's been, I think it's been since 2022 since I ran that. Did you take part in that when I ran it the last time?
I did. That was around the time I was just starting out. It's one of my earlier competitions. But yeah, I did compete in that.
So the way that worked was I announced that I wanted to have a worldwide competition. It was probably 2022 because I think that was my first worldwide competition that I ran. And anyone who said they were interested in running the competition was able to submit their suggestion for an implement to be used. And then my daughter and I picked the implements out of a hat on video.
Yep.
And I think we had like flask, maybe one hand flask.
I was two hand flask,
3-inch
trilobite.
Was finish ball in that? No, Hub was in that. Hub was in it.
There was one more.
And I think there was a fourth event. I don't know if it was Little Bighorn or what. I can't remember now.
I don't think it was a vertical lift. I'm trying to remember.
So, again, nothing concrete.
Yeah.
But I do want to run that contest again. And the last time Luke and I talked about it, we talked about including the Euro in there. So, maybe it would be something where the promoters who are interested would suggest something and we pick from a hat, or maybe I just select the events. I'm not sure, and then people can decide whether or not they're able to run the contest, if they have the implements or not, or if they're interested to run the contest. But historically, February is an open month for me, so that's why we ran that in February. Because prior to that, I always ran like a regional contest, and just decided to do the worldwide contest. And I think that was what kind of spurred me in the direction of doing the Napalm's Nightmare World Championship, because I already had experience with a worldwide competition in 2022.
Yeah, Josh Culpepper asked if you would ever consider last man standing for Napalm championships.
I don't know. I'm not sure. It definitely gives people the opportunity to perform a little bit better, I guess. But at the same time, it lengthens the contest. And if you make a mistake and you run out of time and you miss one of your sub-maximal lifts, it can really screw you over.
Yeah.
So there's benefits. There's pros and cons to both of them. And I know that our contest yesterday only took about 4 hours to get done, and we were really taking a lot of time, especially to help Andrew out with his lifts. So, with only 4 people lifting, you can get through stuff pretty quick. I'm sure we could have gotten done in 2.5 hours. But we also took a break for lunch, and probably took like half an hour in between events. So we weren't pushing. But I guess what I'm saying is, with last man standing, it can elongate the contest, and some of these venues had like 8 people, so could potentially have made the contest a lot longer. I don't know if that turns people on or turns people off to running a contest. Yeah. So but that's something that we could figure out through like a Google Docs survey or something like that.
Jed, there was rumors of you trying to clean the inch dumbbell mid competition. Is that true?
No, the inch never came out.
Okay. Just checking.
Yeah, I tried. Yeah. So I got 444 on the 2 3/8, and that's like so much heavier than what I've been able to do in training. It's not even funny. And so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give this a couple tries. And I had a couple. I think I took 5 or 6 pulls. The last 2 were really good, but my back was so freaking stiff, man.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to end up hurting myself. So I usually err on the side of caution with that stuff, and it probably keeps me from being successful sometimes. But I think a lot more times it keeps me from getting hurt. So.
Okay, I was just messing with you, but
yeah. I gave it a few tries especially during the warm up period of the 3x4 pinch.
We have in the comments Ryan Fennessy, I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Yep.
He said agreed on the ingots. Been itching to get a pair for my napalm setup. And
I guess what it would come down to is, would we add handles and make a 5th event? Or would we take one of the handles away and keep it at 4?
Yeah.
You throw another event in there, that's going to elongate the contest. Plus, now you're at 3 pinch events and only 2 thick bar events, so it makes it very, very pinch heavy. I don't know. It's interesting. Until right now, I've never even thought about changing the events that I recall. For the contest. So.
And Josh Culpepper mentioned a little beginner friendly with the opener selections for last man standing.
Oh yeah.
But like I said, there's pros and cons to both styles.
Yeah, and the way that we were able to work around that with Andrew Kiro was we just took extra time, plain and simple. On all the events, we started our warm ups with 2 55s underneath the knock bar. And then we worked up from there. And then also what we did was, since Andrew was quite a bit below us, since Andrew was basically all alone in his attempts, we were putting extra weight on for our attempts and then taking it back off for his. So it was still rising bar for Andrew. He wasn't allowed to miss and drop down. But what we did was, in between his lifts, we would go with like Evan and Chaz's lifts, and then we would take that weight off because they were really close. So we would take that weight off and then let Andrew go, and then I would come in and do mine and follow myself with the 2-minute time limit.
Yeah, I think for now, that would answer most people's comments and questions.
Yeah, those are good, good commentary. So I appreciate everybody that made comments and stuff. This message is held for review. What's that first thing? A laughing face. Okay.
What comment is it, Jed?
Like 5 or 6 from the bottom. It's Kurdish Wolverine, and it's a laughy face with an eggplant. Like, looking him in the eye.
Yeah.
I'll click show because there's nothing wrong with that.
They're trying to shadow ban you again.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Also, Dylan did ask me where I got this shirt at. And the answer is Elite FTS. But I love the company, love their stuff, but we're not going to mention them again until they get Jed on the Tabletop podcast.
That would be. I would love that. That would be pretty much a dream come true.
Yeah. So if anybody out there watches Table Talk, into the strength world, whatever it is. I mean, people spoke about this in other shows, but Diesel Crew was kind of like documenting, blogging, video training stuff before YouTube or any of this stuff was happening. And it would be cool to have somebody that was right there when all that was going down. Get interviewed, especially with your expertise in grip and all-around strength training. So this is completely unplanned. I'm not campaigning for Jed here. It's not a work or something. My opinion is it would be cool if people could tag Elite FTS or tag Jed's name on their stuff for potential guest spots because Jed's been doing this a long time and he's trained with or been around many of the guests that have been on there. And that's all I'll say.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I've actually known Dave for a long time. He was actually he was actually a member of the Grip Authority for a little bit. So they were going to do reviews of all these membership sites, and I don't know what happened with that, but I don't remember seeing a full review. But and I've trained with Dave, so yeah, that would be cool. That would be a tremendous opportunity. So if there was a groundswell of support to get me on there, I wouldn't just talk about myself. It would be about grip sport. So I would definitely love that opportunity for sure.
Evan Essence 2. Not sure who that is, but thanks for making this podcast. It would be cool to be able to see the results pop up on the screen as you're talking about them.
No fucking clue how to do that, brother. Sorry. It's literally on my phone.
And we got to get the echo fixed. That's probably a headphone type deal.
Yeah.
But I thought I was going to be doing this on my laptop, and the setup changed on me. So
yeah, I think the only way to do that is on a laptop and like sharing screens and stuff like that. But when I tried to do Napalm Live on a laptop, it requires some other software to be tied to it. So essentially the way Zach does the grip show is he records everything on Zoom, which we've talked about me getting involved with Zoom, but I haven't done it. So that would enable me to toggle between frames and screens and stuff like that. But hasn't been an option just yet.
Jed, we need a podcast team. Clearly, we're not the best technical computer guys.
Yeah.
But we are trying to put content out for grip people.
Yeah, you have to understand. So I watch a tremendous amount of pro wrestling podcasts, especially the ones that Conrad Thompson does with Bruce Pritchard, John Layfield, Eric Bischoff, and there's two people on the screen, but he literally has a team of people that works with him, and there's always at least one team member that you never see that does a lot of those special effects. Mm-hmm. So, you're talking about a pretty steep learning curve there. And I have multiple businesses that I'm already doing, and podcasting is way down here on that one. So I would need to see way more. There would have to be a lot of changes take place for me to invest in something that I would be able to do that.
It's just, I think that's something, Jed. As we continue to put stuff out, for the grip show, it's easier for me to pre-record, edit some things before it goes out. These lives, when something is off or going wrong, we're doing this on our phone on the spot right now.
Yeah.
So as things go for Napalm Live, Grip Show, whatever thing we're doing, I think it's going to evolve and continue to get better. But people have to understand we're doing this ourselves. It's a one-man army on both ends.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it'll get there.
Yeah, like people often ask me why I don't do This Week in Grip anymore. And they specifically ask why there aren't like videos like what we're talking about is being featured on video and all that stuff. Dude, when I was doing that, it was taking me a full week to do one episode. So it's just not a good use of time for me. Now, things have come a long way. I don't think I've done an episode of that since 2019. There's a lot of other options, but the editing that goes into that stuff is tremendous. And
Jed, would you ever consider bringing it back?
This Week in Grip, I'll tell you, if more than 20 people were watching it and total views were up over 100, then yeah, there might be a consideration, but it's just not supported. It's not supported. I mean, how many views do you get on the Grip Show?
Depends on the episode and how long it's been out. Usually 200 to 300 views for recaps and stuff. If it's a big interview, a lot of people can get up closer to 700 to 1,000 plus views. I think my most watched clip is Carl Myersko talking about the GHP10 and Captains of Crush 4. And that's just over 2,000 views. So I have about 5 or 6 videos that went over 1,000 for Grip Show. But
the other thing is you're doing a great job, and I don't want to interfere in that whatsoever. So I don't want to be another podcast that interviews people about grip sport, because you're already doing a fine job with that. And what I've been doing is featuring people that some of them have been grip competitors. Some of them have been people that have learned from me. But I've also done them with people that have absolutely nothing to do with grip, because quite frankly, I'm at the point in my life where I really want to just get more people involved in strength training, fitness, and wellness and personal development. So that's kind of the direction that I'm going in. So, but if I saw the proof is in the pudding, right? So if I saw that like the grip ones, the grip oriented shows that I was doing they were getting more attention, then I would focus on that more, but it's early still, man. I don't know. I mean, this episode right here was done on a whim. I asked you at 11:45 if you wanted to go at 1:00. So, not that there's a lot of planning involved, but also I don't have a lot of time for planning for it because I'm involved in so many other things. Like I was gone 2 days this week from my gym for this side business that I do. So I don't think people realize all the different things I'm involved in. Like I'm an entrepreneur and I refuse to work for the man. So I'm involved in a bunch of little businesses that allow me for a tremendous amount of freedom in my life and a reduction in stress. Like I'll stress out over my own shit, but I don't want to stress over stuff that's going to help somebody else out that I see no kickback from. So you know, that kind of makes my situation a little bit different from other people's situations. So, but that also means that sometimes I have to get my training in at like 4:30 in the morning rather than 2 o'clock in the afternoon when things are optimal. So, there's a give and take, but it's hard to really go into all the details right now, all the crap I'm involved in. It would bore everybody, but sometimes it does make stuff hard for me to commit to something like a regular weekly grip related podcast.
Yeah. No, I was just curious because I think this week in grip was cool. For that time, and I was a little bit later to finding grip, but it was cool to go back and have those resources to kind of listen to.
Yeah.
But yeah, now there's, kind of several grip podcasts, we'll say, that are kind of emerging and stuff like that. So I get what you mean. You don't want to like oversaturate it, but
Yeah.
if it was worth your time and some people got behind it, or we could figure something out. I think in one side it could work, and in the other side maybe it isn't worth the time. It would be tough to decide.
We'll see how it goes. Like I said, I don't have a concrete plan for any structure or who I talk to. If I move to speak with somebody, I'll speak with them. Like I have plans to speak with Timmy Butler, and we probably won't even talk about grip that much, just because the stuff I have planned is more about like some of the challenges he's had and how he got through them. Because the message I want to get across is people get hurt, people have shit come up in their life, and you have to deal with that and stay consistent in order to be successful. And that's not just about grip, that's about anything. So, people like Timmy inspire me because he's come a long way despite certain challenges that he's had. And many of those challenges would have shut other people down completely, and he was able to work through them and come out even better after the dust settled. So, that's kind of what I want to focus on with it. But we have exhausted the results. We've gone through everything, and we've gone into some extra stuff that I wasn't planning on covering, but I thought it was really good. So, again, I appreciate everybody watching. I appreciate all the people who ran venues, people who traveled to compete. Zach, thanks for taking some time out of your day. Really appreciate you.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
The Grip Show. If anybody is still watching, I've got the 31 days of Q&A coming up on the YouTube channel. And I'm looking for good questions from people. So if you'd like to submit something, go ahead and leave it in the comments section of the video. I've got several that are already in the queue, almost up until Christmas. So I think they're pretty good questions that will help a lot of people out, and I'm looking for more. And be sure to give the video a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe. And Zach, you got anything else?
No, just thank everybody for tuning in. And like I said, giving us a little bit of leniency. We're doing it short notice. There may be some technical errors, but it's part of the process of us getting it worked out. I think, a lot of things start off one way and they end up in a much better place. So just give us some time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Zach. All the best in your training, everybody. Take care.
All right, see you guys.